want to talk about the 7 essential qualities of successful people. So many years ago, I was reading a book. I can't even remember the book now, but I learned this habit from John Maxwell, and that is when I'm reading a book, if I stumble on something that really inspires me, that is may be full of knowledge or full of wisdom, I take a note of it, I file it away. All right. So many years ago, I stumbled on this statement by Jim Rohn, and it's the basis of all that I want to share with us. All right, in these 7 sessions, okay, of talking about the essential qualities of successful people. Now, Jim Rohn said that success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Let me say that again. Success is not something you pursue. Success is something you attract by the person you become. So many years ago, Dr. Sam Adeyemi wrote a powerful book, and I really enjoyed the book. It's titled Success is Who You Are. Okay, success is who you are. So very early in my late teens, I started to study success. I started to study successful people, and some of the things I discovered are the things I'm going to be sharing with us in this series. But let's back up a little bit and let's look at what does it mean to be successful. Okay, what does it mean to be successful? Okay, so that we are all on the same page. Now, to be successful, listen to this, is to possess a peaceful, positive, and productive state of mind that predisposes you to setting objectives and achieving them. Let me say that again. To be successful is to possess a peaceful, positive, and productive state of mind that predisposes you to setting objectives and achieving them. Somebody has said that success is progressive achievement of worthwhile goals. Simply put, success is setting a target and hitting it. Success is saying, this is where I am today, that is where I'm going to be tomorrow, and taking intentional steps or actions to achieve, okay, that objective. But for the purpose of our discussion tonight, I need you to understand that success is first a state of the mind before it becomes a status in life. Okay, success is first a state of the mind before it becomes a status in life. In other words, any physical achievement that does not reflect the state of your heart is a temporary experience. And you see, we live in a generation that celebrates the material, that celebrates the external. So you see, sometimes people will take pictures with what does not belong to them. Somebody somewhere will see that picture and begins to envy them, but that person lacks the inner ability to produce what he has snapped the picture with. Okay, so somebody else has an impression that this person is successful, but that person cannot produce the picture he's presenting to the world. No matter what it is, marriage, promotion at work, expansion in your business, whatever it is that you pursue, if it is not a state of mind, it is only going to be a temporary experience. That's what happens to people that win lotteries. You will notice if you are not rich on the inside, you cannot sustain wealth on the outside. Okay, so success is first who you are before it becomes what you do or what you have. Let me say that again. Success is first who you are before it becomes what you do or what you have. And so over the years, I have studied successful people. I have been blessed in the course of my life to be mentored by successful people. I have some very successful people as role models. And what I do is study them. Okay, years ago, I was listening to a message by Bishop T.D. Jakes, and he said something that made, a strong impression on me then. He said that they were having this building project in their church, and he found out that one very wealthy man was coming around, and he was going to be introduced to the man, and somebody suggested to him, why don't you talk to him? Maybe he would be willing to give to the building project. I mean, this is a church. They were building this beautiful building, but they didn't have all the money they needed. And then this wealthy man is coming around, and I was like, oh, maybe he's going to give to our building project. And then T.D. Jakes said something. He said something. He said, I don't need his money. He said, but put me in the same room with him. If I can listen to him, okay, and I can think the way he thinks, I can have what he has. Okay, and I say this to young people especially all the time. When you have the opportunity to meet with successful people, don't be distracted by what they have. Okay, be enamored by who they are. Try your best to learn, okay? Be a sponge in that environment and soak as much as possible of who they are. You see, because who they are is what produces what they have. I'm reminded of Joseph in the Bible. His brothers took away his coat of many colors because it was a physical representation of his superiority, a physical representation of favor, of preference by their father. But guess what? They took away his coat of many colors, but what they did not understand was what the coat of many colors had done for him all the while that he was wearing it. Okay, so for a period of time, the coat of many colors left the physical for Joseph and became who he was on the inside. So when he became a slave, he couldn't behave like a slave because on his inside, he was not a slave. And what I want to share with us in the next few weeks is how to become that person who is successful on the inside, okay, and then whatever it is you achieve on the outside, you will be able to sustain. And if you suffer setbacks, and that happens to everybody in the course of your journey, you will get to the point where you understand that failure and setback are necessary stepping stones to success. See, but for successful people who are successful on the inside, when they experience setbacks on the outside, it does not diminish them, it does not distract them. Most of the time, it gives them an opportunity to achieve what they want to achieve because they learn from their setbacks, they rest because of their setbacks, they learn what they were doing wrong, and then they bounce back and they do better this time around. Okay, so setbacks will not affect you. It's not like it won't affect you, but then it will not be the end of you, because you see, what you have on the outside is not essentially all that there is to you, because what you have on the inside came from somewhere. If anything happens to what you have on the outside, you can reproduce it because there is more where that came from. All right, so with that at the back of our mind, I want us to look at what I call the 7 essential qualities of successful people. I'm going to start with the first one tonight, and then every Wednesday 8 p.m. subsequently I'm going to look at the other 7. So this is the first one, okay? Quality number 1. Successful people have personal creeds. Okay, successful people have personal creeds. The things I'm going to be sharing with us in the next 7 weeks. See, it's not that I read a book and I saw these things. This is from my observation, from my study of successful people in my life. Okay, and the first thing I noticed about them is that successful people have personal creeds. Now, what do I mean by personal creeds? Now, a personal creed is a body of principles you deeply believe in and live by. Let me say it this way. Companies have policies. Countries have constitutions. Successful people have creeds, okay? Well-defined and predetermined principles that they live by, okay? For successful people, their creed is their compass. Let's look at this example. When a plane takes off in Lagos and is going to, say, London, okay, it's going to travel in the skies for about 6 hours, okay? In the sky, there are no road signs or there are no sky signs, okay? So how does the pilot know that if I keep going in this direction, I'm going to get to Heathrow Airport? He simply follows his compass. The same thing for the ship. They just follow their compass. Okay, the compass is that device that tells them this is the direction you are going, or this is the direction you ought to be going. Now, whatever happens in the course of the journey, okay, it's not like when you are driving a car and you know the road. Okay, they just follow the compass. Okay, for successful people, that is what they do. They don't do what they feel like doing, or better still, they don't follow their feelings. They follow their creeds at all times. And so that's the first thing I'm going to want to share with you. If you are going to be truly successful, and I've told you it is first a state of your heart before it becomes a status in life. If you're going to be truly successful, you are going to have a body of principles that you live by. Okay? It is always well defined. It is always predetermined. In other words, before opportunities comes, before challenges come, before anything happens, you have already decided this is how I am going to live. These are the principles I live by. And then as life unfolds, you will see opportunities, or you will see challenges, okay? Opportunities to express your creed, challenges that test your creed. For successful people, they follow their creed like a compass. Okay, they follow their creed like a compass. You need to understand nobody knows what is going to happen tomorrow. But what a successful person knows is that, look, no matter what happens, there are things I do, there are things I don't do. Okay, I spoke about Joseph the other time. Look at Joseph, for example. Okay, regardless of what Potiphar's wife threw at him, okay, he had made up his mind. I don't sleep with other people's wives. It is something I don't do. I don't flirt. I don't sleep with people's wives. So when Potiphar's wife came to him, he said, listen, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this and sin against God. Okay, it was a personal creed for him. It's not a function of circumstances. It's not because if I do this, I will get into trouble. No, I don't do this. Simple. Okay, I'm a person of faith. I studied the Bible. And one of the things I noticed from, some of the characters in the Bible, I give you an example of Paul the Apostle. I noticed from before he became Paul the Apostle, when it was Saul, okay, who was persecuting the church. I noticed from the time of Saul till the time he became an apostle, there was one thing that was a constant in the life of this man. And that's why I found out it was a personal creed for him. You will never find him alone. At every point in time, he walked in the context of a team. Okay, when he was on the way to Damascus, he was not alone. When he was on the way to Rome, he was not alone. Paul the Apostle was a team player. For him, it was a personal creed. Let me give you another example. I read this. Okay, no, I was listening to, Pastor Mike Murdoch, okay, so many years ago, and he said something that has become, even for me, a personal creed. He said, I will never hire a man that does not wear a wristwatch. Okay, he said somebody shows up, okay, for an interview and is not wearing a wristwatch. He said, I'm not going to hire him because that means he does not value time. Okay, from that moment, I said to myself, look, I'm not going to show up anywhere, okay, without being conscious of time. So I always have a wristwatch. Thank God for the phones we carry now. So even if you don't have a wristwatch, you have a phone. Let me give you another example. I don't know if this is true, but so many years ago, I heard this. Now, if you want to know how organized a man is, look at his shoes. And I started observing. I don't know if it is true, but most of the guys that I admire, most of the people that I look up to as men, they take very good care of their shoes. And most of the men that I know that are disorganized, they don't take very good care of their shoes. Like I said, I don't know. Let me give you another example. I heard somebody say this the other time. The person said, when two people are conflicting on my team, or when two people are fighting on my team, I don't care who started it. I will fire the both of them. Because you see, it takes two to fight. It's not enough that you were provoked. For some people, it's a personal creed. I don't fight. Okay? I at work, I don't fight. See, these are the kind of decisions you are going to make that will help you become successful. Okay? I don't bicker. I don't do politics. Let me give you a very good example of one of my own personal creeds is no matter where I find myself, I don't join cliques. No. I don't. No matter where it is, you will not find me in a clique. That's number one. Number two, I don't fight management. It's just one of my own creeds. As I was growing up, I said to myself, if I'm going to get to the top in life, I've made it a personal decision. I'm never going to fight people at the top, because a lot of times until you get to the top, you don't have their perspective. You don't understand what it is. So sometimes when people in management or in leadership position above me, when they take decisions that does not make sense to me or I feel is not right, I press. I want to see it from their perspective, because I said to myself, that is my future. So in all my years when I was working, for somebody else, I never had a time that I clashed with management, because whatever position management takes, I try my best to align myself with management, because I said to myself, until I get to that position, I probably don't have their perspective. And it has helped me, to learn a lot from the people that, have gone ahead of me. So the question is, in the course of your life, what are those principles that you have predetermined, well-defined principles that you have said to yourself, these are the principles I live by? I'm reminded of this popular statement: if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. And so the first thing I noticed about successful people is they have what they stand for. They have creeds they live by. Okay, some of those examples I've given you. Another person, I was reading a book by John Maxwell, okay, so many years ago, and I stumbled on the story of Truett Cathy. Okay, Truett Cathy was the founder of Chick-fil-A, a fast food restaurant in the US. And he did something, or he started something, developed a policy for the organization since 1946. He wrote it in his book. Let me just read out to you what Truett said. He said, closing our business on Sunday, the Lord's Day, is our way of honoring God and showing our loyalty to Him. My brother Ben and I closed our first restaurant on the first Sunday we opened in 1946. And my children have committed to closing our restaurants on Sundays long after I'm gone. I believe God honors our decision and sets before us unexpected opportunities to do greater work for Him because of our loyalty. Now think about this. Anybody in the fast food business knows that weekends, are a time where you have a high traffic. And then Sunday is the day, even those who go to church, go from church and they are looking for the, next restaurant to eat. So if you are in the food business, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are the highest days you make money. Yet this man, following his Christian faith, said, my staff will go to church on Sundays. And then after church, they will spend time with their family. Whether the business is successful or not, this is our company policy. Look at what he said again. He said, my brother Ben and I closed our first restaurant on the first Sunday after we opened in 1946. Listen, and my children have committed to closing our restaurants on Sundays long after I am gone. That's a creed. Okay, that goes beyond even just a company policy. This is something that was done in the past. This is something they are doing till now. Okay, Chick-fil-A runs in airports. They are found in malls. You see, but on Sunday, all their outlets are closed. It's a matter of principle. We don't work on Sundays. So this afternoon, I said to myself, so let me check. How are they doing? Okay, is this working for them? And I saw this post. Okay, this was published by usatoday.com on the 6th of July 2021. Now listen to what they said. They said the American Customer Satisfaction Index released its list of best fast food restaurants, and Chick-fil-A took the top title for the 7th straight year. In other words, for the last 7 years, Chick-fil-A has won the award of the best fast food restaurant in the US for the last 7 years. Now watch this. They work a day less than every other competitor. But because of this policy, okay, they've won this award for 7 straight years. Of all the fast food places, Chick-fil-A came first with a score of 83 out of 100. And they've been high up there. They've won this award for the last 7 years. I think it's a function of this creed that Truett was talking about. And look at what he said again. Okay, every time I read the statement, it just inspires me, blesses my heart. He says, I believe God honors our decision and sets before us unexpected opportunities to do greater work for Him because of our loyalty. So the question I'm asking is this. This is what I notice about people. You hear people say things like, when we get to the bridge, or when we get to the bridge, we'll cross the river, or when we get to the river, we'll cross the bridge. Meaning, when we get to that situation, we will make a decision based on, circumstances. Successful people don't operate like that. Okay, if you're going to really be successful, you are going to have to decide, okay, in your marriage, in your business, okay, in your relationships with people, how you handle your finances. You know what? I do this, I don't do this. Okay, let me talk about generosity. For example, one of my own personal creed is tipping is sowing. Okay, a tip is a seed. So anytime I find myself and people have served me, I've made it a habit to reciprocate by giving them something, not stipend, something valuable. I'll give you another personal creed of mine. I don't criticize or correct people that I have never invested in. And by the way, I will not criticize you publicly. I don't even do public criticism anyway. So if you are not close to me, if you are not my friend, if I am not investing in you, I don't believe I have earned the right to criticize you. So I won't criticize you. That's the truth. It's, for me, a personal principle. I love punctuality. If the meeting is starting at 7, I want to be there like 5 minutes to 7, 10 minutes to 7. I remember years ago, a guest pastor came to our church to preach, and the pastor said, when I started out, as a young pastor, sometimes I would get to meetings about 2 hours, before the ushers get there. And a friend of mine was beside me, and in his opinion, he was throwing a shade. And then he looked at me, he said, that's the way you behave in school. And I smiled, because for me, it's a compliment. Okay, I like to be punctual. I like to be there on time. There's so many personal principles that I can't talk about here tonight, but if you are going to be successful, you are going to have a personal creed, a body of principles that you live by. All right, let me begin to wind down tonight. Please, if you have any question, use the question icon, okay, on Instagram. If you're on MixLR, then you can please put your question in the chat section on MixLR. All right, so defining your creed. How do you come about this body of principles that you live by? First thing I must tell you, our principles differ from person to person, because our experiences are different, our objectives are different, where we are going is different. So you have to sit down and say for yourself. Of course, there are some generic principles that all of us live by, but you are going to have to say to yourself, these are the principles that I live by. And by the way, the fact that things are generic, for example, if you're a Christian, there are things that that are expected of Christians. You have to make it personal. It's not enough for you to say, well, we are all supposed to be doing it. No. Regardless of what everybody is doing, this is what I do, or this is what I don't do. Like Joshua said, okay, he said, I present to you an opportunity. Choose whom you are going to serve today, whether it is God or you are going to serve an idol. He said, as for me and my house, we shall serve the Lord. That's a personal creed. This is a choice that I have made. Okay, I will serve the Lord. All right, so how do you come about your personal creed? I have 3 suggestions for you, and we are done, or better still, I'm done for tonight. This is the first one. Read the Bible. And when I say read the Bible, I'm not saying this in a religious way. Okay, for some people, the Bible is that book that they look for promises to claim. Yes, it's a book of promises, but over and above promises, the Bible is a book of principles to live by. Okay, a book of principles to live by. So when I read the Bible, I am looking for principles to live by, and there are so many of them. Will it amaze you that even some of the principles that are being used in the secular today are principles from the Bible? Okay, for example, the law of delegation was first in the book of Exodus and then in the book of Acts of Apostles. All right, so it's a biblical principle. There are so many of them. Of course, it's not a Bible teaching tonight, but you need to understand as you read the Bible. Somebody advised, read a chapter of the book of Proverbs every day. You will have a lot of sense, okay? Because the Bible is a book of principles to live by. Should I give you an example? So we have prayer meetings in our church, Hill City Church, every morning. And then this morning, in our meetings, we listen to the Bible. Okay, so this morning we listen to the book of Ruth, chapter 2. And as I was listening to that story, one powerful principle that I teach, I live by, it's a personal creed for me. I saw it in the book of Ruth, and that is you don't place your need ahead of your gift. You don't place your need ahead of your gift. When Ruth, followed Naomi, there was nothing in it for her. She just said to herself, this old woman needs somebody by her. Somebody has to take care of her. Somebody has to be around her. Without thinking of herself, without planning so much for her own future, she followed Naomi. But in following Naomi, she was actually positioning herself for her own increase. Okay, the Bible also tells us about Boaz. When Boaz came to the field, he showed favor to Ruth. He was just being a nice guy, but he did not know that the woman he was taking care of was his future wife. So this is what I have concluded. Whatever you do for people, you really are doing for yourself. So I go out of my way as much as possible to do a lot for people, okay? Because I know whatever goes out of my life does not leave my life actually. It is going into my future to wait for me in multiple folds. All right, that's some of the principles I extracted from the book of Ruth, chapter 2, that we listened to this morning. The next time you read the Bible, make sure you're not just reading it for religious purpose, but there are principles that you are going to live by, and you extract them from reading the Bible. For those of us who are people of faith, let me remind you the book of Joshua, chapter 1 and verse 8, very powerful and popular verse of scripture. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth. Therein shall you meditate day and night. In other words, talk about the Bible, think about the Bible, because there are things you need to do that you will not know if you don't talk about the Bible and think about the Bible. He said there are things you need to observe to do. He said, then shall you make your way prosperous and have good success. From that one verse of scripture, I discovered that I'm responsible for my own success. And the key to my success is mining the Bible for principles to live by. And the moment I see those principles, I must practice them. Because, the Bible says that the man who looks into the perfect law of liberty and continues to do it, not being a forgetful hearer, shall be blessed in what he does, not in what he knows. Okay, so I look into the Bible for principles to live by. All right, so defining your creed, how you come about, these are the things or the principles I live by. For me, number one is through the Bible. Now, number two, study successful predecessors. Study successful predecessors. Okay, people have gone ahead of you. The Bible says that there is nothing new under the sun. There is nothing you are trying to achieve that somebody has not achieved or attempted before. So even people who fail, like somebody has said, that even the bad clock, okay, is right twice every day. My pastor said it this way. My pastor said, even the man that has failed becomes a sign for every other person coming after him, saying, don't go this way. So when you study people who have gone ahead of you, you have the opportunity to distill principles to live by. You see, if somebody has made a mistake, okay, it would be foolish of you to fall into the same mistake, because what it means is that you lack the ability to learn. Let's flip it. If somebody around you has done something and he has succeeded at doing it, it would be stupid of you for you to reinvent the wheel, reproduce that process without capitalizing on that person's knowledge. Whatever anybody around me know becomes my asset, because I'm going to study those who have gone ahead of me, and I'm going to make sure that their success become my stepping stone. Okay, their failures become my signs of what not to do. So number two, you want to define your creed. Study your predecessors, the successful ones, the failures, the mentors, the role models in your life. Study them, people that have gone ahead of you, your elder ones, uncles, aunties. If you study their lives, you will know things to do and things not to do. And then finally tonight, read your own story. Okay, read your own story. What do I mean by that? Every experience in your life holds a valuable lesson. Every experience in your life holds a valuable lesson. Okay, when you have made a mistake or when you have achieved success, don't move away too soon, because in that experience is a template, okay, either of what you can reproduce in the future or what you can avoid in the future. When something happens to you once negatively, okay, yeah, maybe it's a bad experience. When it happens to you the second time, it means you were not paying attention. By the time it happens to you the same thing the third time, it means you lack the ability to learn. And listen, if a person does not learn, the person will not grow. If a person is not growing, the person will not succeed. You see, because success is moving, okay, from one point to another progressively. Your point A becomes your point B, and then when you get to point B, it becomes point A, and then it becomes point B, and that's the way life continues to unfold. Okay, permit me to wrap it up here tonight. Next week, Wednesday, I will pick the second quality of successful people. Okay, suffice it to say, I've stumbled on 7. Maybe there are more than 7, but for me, these 7 are very key. They're very, very powerful. And this is the first one. Successful people have personal creeds. Okay, what's a creed? A creed is a defined and predetermined body of principles that you live by. Countries have constitutions. Companies have policies. Successful people have personal creeds.